remember that we would just roleplay outside, warrior cats, for hours upon hours. We would take our toys outside because my apartment was always a mess and her mom was always out, so we couldn't really go to each other's houses, but whatever. And it would be just so fun, and that's all I wanted to do, was go outside all freaking day, but my teacher wouldn't let me because she would never help me, and so I would go home with homework every day. It was so annoying. At one point I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go outside, enjoy my time, and then I'll come back inside and do my stupid homework because who freaking cares? I'm not gonna slave over it and let this take over my life. I just want to live my life as best as I can. And sadly, she had to move, and that's when we started to become a little distant. And now we don't really talk anymore. And she changed so much that it's just kind of hard to be friends with someone when you don't really have a lot in common, and they're just too different, and you don't even know them anymore. So it's really sad, but what can you do? Anywho, moving on to the story. I remember that we were in PE, and the teacher left to go get something, and everybody was doing their stupid dodgeball, and you had to, every single time you had to get out, you had to do like laps and all this crazy stuff, and I was just taking a break, and my supposed best friend and her friend were like, they just looked at me and they're like, what do you think you're doing? And I'm just like, I'm taking a break because I literally kept going out every single time. Is that not allowed? And then they just looked at each other, and then my supposed best friend just looked at me and she's like, are you kidding me? If you keep doing that, you're gonna be fat. And then her friend just laughed and said, yeah, you seriously should keep running, or else you are gonna be fat. And that affected me for a while, and it still kind of does, because back then I was pretty skinny, but now I'm pretty chubby, not gonna lie. And so it still hurts, and I just can't believe that she would say something like that. Eventually, I went to freshman year, and I luckily never had to see her again, and I told my cousin, and I cried about it, but luckily she was there for me through the thick and the thin. And we had a lot in common, so that's why we were like best friends. We liked reading, we loved writing stories. She also liked LPS and Monster High and Ever After High as well, but she eventually grew out of it and gave her toys to her sister, but she did give a few of the LPS, and actually this LPS that I use as my second mascot that represents me. So I thank my cousin for that. But anywho, it affected me for a while, and then eventually freshman year came around, and I was finally in high school. I was excited, but mostly scared at the same time. This was new. My friend moved away, my best friend betrayed me, and my cousin was still in 8th grade, and I would barely get to see her. Like, this is gonna be a terrible year, and I had to be back with those girls that hated me. Well, it seemed like that. At least they just didn't respect me and, like, treated me like I was invisible, basically. So, I was pretty depressed, and I didn't have any friends. And there was this girl, and I tried to be friends with her, but of course she became friends with the popular girl because everybody's friends with the popular girl. AKA the daughter of one of the teachers, who eventually, she was a 6th grade teacher and then became also the English teacher. Yeah, we barely had any teachers, so some of them would be a teacher for many different grades, which is pretty crazy. So they had a lot on their plates, and they would barely get paid, so it's like pretty crazy that they would even want to do it, to be honest. So everything was nerve-wracking, everything was different, and another thing is that all my teachers were female, and this teacher was male, so I didn't know how to feel about that, honestly. Was really mean. She used to be friends with my friend. We're gonna call her Layla. Yep, Layla. Layla was a really sweet girl, you know. She didn't have a lot of friends either because she was homeschooled her whole life. And so I was like her first friend, and my sisters, of course. And this stupid friend, we're gonna call her Michaela. Yeah, Michaela. Michaela told her that she didn't want to be friends with her anymore so she could hang out with the cool kids, which were just stupid, mean people. They would say mean things to me, and the boys in the neighborhood would say, "Oh, you're a teenager, you shouldn't play with plastic toys," and I just straight up ignored them. And I remember one time I was giving flowers around to the neighborhood, like my mom bought flowers, and so I was giving them out to people because I wanted to be nice. It was Easter morning, you know, and this guy came up to me and said, and to me and my sister, and said, "Get away from my apartment or else I'm gonna call the police." And it totally scared me and my sister. So for the last week, we didn't leave, and eventually he moved because probably he was complaining about us annoying kids. So that's nice. And oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many annoying, mean ladies were in that neighborhood. So the first mean lady had a really snotty kid, and me and my friend Layla, we were out playing, and she had her Nerf bow and arrow, and we were playing with her snotty little kid, and I forgot his name, so we'll just call him Snotty Little Kid. And the other one, we'll call him Jaden. So the snotty little kid started crying because my sister had the bow and arrow from Layla. She was borrowing it and accidentally poked the snotty little kid in the eye, so he started crying, saying, "She hit me on purpose with that bow and arrow." And then the mom got all angry at my sister and was like, "I'm gonna throw that bow and arrow into the trash because of what you did." And she started chasing my sister all the way back to my apartment, and she's like, "I'm gonna find your parents and I'm gonna tell on them." And so we didn't go out after a week after that. And my friend felt really bad. Layla felt really bad that happened, but I was like, you know what? Just don't play with him again. He doesn't deserve to be played with. Obviously, his mom needs some help. And honestly, there's a lot of Karens, actually, now that I think about it. And this other time, there was this woman, and I was a stupid kid, okay? This was actually freshman year, when all this, like, crap happened, all these women that were mean to me. I was a stupid kid and I accidentally left the trash, and I was like too lazy to take it, so I left like a door to a cabinet or something like that. Like something small, it wasn't a big deal, you know, right next to like this pole that like separated, like that was close to the garbage can but not exactly, like it was on the curb close to it, and it was also close to like her supposed yard when really it wasn't really hers. And she got really mad, and the next morning she came up, storming up to my mom's window and said, "Hey, your child just left some trash besides my house." And we were trying to go to school, and my mom just looked at me, she was like, "Okay." And she was just shocked, like, "What, you're not gonna yell at your child?" Like, this lady has issues. And my sister actually used to play with the daughter of this lady, and she's like, "You're not allowed to play with, anyone that's associated with that family." The mom said that, and so my little sister gonna play with that girl again, and I'm like, whatever, you know? Honestly, her mom's a snob, and if her daughter literally, like, thinks that I'm such a terrible person, then honestly, that's on their family. Like, whatever. And I remember that me and my sister were pretty stupid, and we loved cats, but we didn't have any. So there was this little girl in the neighborhood who had two, and she would abuse them all the time. So my sister and I had a smart idea to kidnap one. And we're like, oh, we're gonna take care of it, you know, we can eventually find cat food or something in the dumpster, or we could ask my friend, Layla, because she has cats, and like how to take care of them. And my sister's like, okay, that's a great idea. And the cat hated it, and hated being stuck in our room. And eventually, you know, we got found out. Like, my cousin would mention it to Eliana all the time, and she would just straight up ignore her. and she wouldn't even acknowledge my existence. And this is when she started drifting apart, and she started to try to take away my friend. She already was trying in 7th grade, but now in 8th grade she definitely was trying to take away my friend. And it really annoyed me and made me really sad. Like, why was she doing this? I don't understand. And when the day of the party finally came, she had a September birthday just like me. We started, like, in the end of August, I'm pretty sure. So, like, normal kind of time. So it was around September, like, 1st, I think was her birthday. But anywho, when her birthday finally came around, nobody really went except one other friend and my cousin. And my mom said, you know, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe they all know that she's a brat and that they didn't want to go to her party, because honestly, at this age, she really was mean. She became so mean. And I remember one time at PE, the PE teachers were really harsh. They would make us do miles and all this crap, and we're still like young children too. I don't even want to get into it because it's just so terrible. And we wouldn't do anything fun. I mean, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Like, we're still pretty young. Why can't we do the fun things that, you know, the other kids get to do? It's because my old PE teacher left, so we had to have replacements. Joy. I'm so glad we went to do PE anymore. That's like the most hated class I had. Besides math. I hate math. But anywho, I didn't have any crushes. I was like, you know what, whatever. And I would be really annoyed also because, like, every single time I would have homework, and I really didn't like that because my old neighborhood friend, we would play all the time, and we would bond, and she liked LPS, and she liked Monster High, and she actually introduced me to anime, so thank her for that, because now I'm a total weeb for anime. Anywho, we were pretty great friends, and she also liked Warrior Cats. Even though she had dyslexia, she only read a few books, but it was still something. I read the whole series. That's when I was, like, really obsessed. 8th grade. That's the time I was super obsessed. So, I started becoming depressed, and I started losing interest in everything that I liked. And I remember I just spent a lot of time on my electronics and stuff, and that's when I used to, like, binge watch LPS series. To, like, no consent, I guess you could say. And I would just binge watch it all the time, and eventually, one day, I got to visit my cousin, and we would be talking, you know, about our characters and stuff, because we were writing, and she actually writes way more than me, still to this day, actually. This beast likes to come onto my desk every time I try to film. Okay, so now we are going to go to junior year, and then I'll do a little update on my life is like now, just for those who are curious. Okay, so junior year is kind of really a blur. I don't really remember much of it, but I know for a fact that we were trying to move, and we were trying to pack and stuff, and then my dad was trying to find a job, and I was being homeschooled, and I was still pretty sad, and I was still pretty depressed and lonely, and that's when I started to lose motivation for a lot of things. I didn't want to do anything I loved, which is my hobbies. I didn't want to go out anymore. I didn't want to read. I didn't want to write. I didn't want to draw. I didn't want to play with LPS. I didn't want to do anything. I would just be on my electronics. So we would be talking about characters and stuff, and she actually writes a lot more than I do, even to this day. And then I brought up that I'm probably always gonna be single, and she's like, oh my gosh, girl, same. And I also this is when I really got into role-playing. Like, this is around the time where, actually I started when I was 14, when I was really depressed. I would roleplay all the time when I was I roleplay with some friends on Hangouts, that eventually they got into a fight, and now we don't roleplay together anymore. Which is fine, because I prefer to do one-on-one roleplays now instead of a group. But on LPsvideo, I would do group roleplays all the time. And I kind of like drifted away from most of those friends that I used to roleplay with, and a lot of them left or just too busy to talk anymore. So I don't roleplay a lot as I used to, which is a good thing, because distractions only help for so long. So anywho, as I was saying, like a few days after that, I remembered that there was this teddy bear outside on our porch. But I didn't think anything of it because, I probably was a child who left their stuffed animal because we had children that lived really close to us. So I didn't think anything of it because, there's a lot of children in our neighborhood, and they would put stuff on our porch all the time, and it was pretty normal. There were children that lived really close by, so I just thought that they left it there. After weeks and weeks of it being there, I was really, concerned, I was like, why is it still there? And I actually caught up with an old friend that was in the neighborhood. He would, play with us, and I would talk to him sometimes because he was a guy friend of my friend Layla. And eventually we would talk again because he liked anime and stuff like that, and drawing. That's basically all I really know about it. We didn't really get to know each other very well. But anywho, this is kind of like a tragic love story, I guess. I wouldn't really call it that. I started to develop a crush on him, and actually how we met in this time was he was getting bullied by these guys, because there were some really mean guys in our neighborhood, and just people in general, because girls and guys. And I told my mom about it, and she said, I know that he said not to tell his mom, but I'm gonna tell his mom anyway. And she went to go tell his mom, and she was really, really mad about it. And she actually talked to the dad, and the dad was like, to the son that was bullying my friend, was like, what? You said what now? And like was really offended, and I never saw him outside again, and maybe it's a good thing. So anywho, we started talking again, and I started to develop a crush on him, and he actually said that he liked me, and that teddy bear was actually for me. And I was like, what? Why did you put a note on it or something? And so I took it inside, and I washed it and stuff, and then I got his phone number, and we would talk every day, all the time. And eventually he would start, like, being quiet and not replying and stuff, and I just thought, oh, maybe he doesn't like me, or nah, he's probably just busy, and stuff like that. And we would only see each other outside after school, so I would wait, to see him, and we would just talk in front of my apartment, because there's, like, a little grassy area, and one time we got like a picnic blanket and stuff, and we would just try to be alone together, just so I could like talk to him without my annoying siblings. And eventually, I started going to my youth group at my cousin's church, and I would tell her about like my crush and stuff, and my friend's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that he actually confessed, my online friend by me, and he likes you, and I was just like, yeah, I know, it's crazy, I didn't think a guy would like me at all either. And I told him that we were, moving, and I was like, oh, it's so sad, you're moving away, and he likes you, and eventually, he started drifting away, and we wouldn't talk very much, and I started beating myself up, thinking, oh, he probably doesn't like me because of my autism and stuff. And I found out that he ran away one day, and he got in really big trouble, and he got his phone taken away, and had to have it replaced with a flip phone, so he wasn't happy about that, but we would watch videos on there together and stuff. And then one day, he was just, still not really talking to me very much, and then my sister found out that he had a girlfriend, and I was like, what? So I texted him about it. I'm like, you don't like me anymore? And he said, I only liked you as a friend, and I just was like totally like shocked, and I was very angry about it, not gonna lie, and I was like, yep, you know what, I'm ready to move now, definitely, like, and if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure I threw that teddy bear out because I was so mad, and it was just like, why would I keep this if he's just a jerk like that? And it was really weird because, he said he liked me and stuff, but he didn't, like, really take any interest really that much. Like, he valued his friends more than me. But it's fine, he isn't the best guy, and I found my boyfriend, so I'm really happy about that. But yeah, that's all that I had for the junior year, and then eventually I moved to here in Idaho, and so I can tell you about that. I went to public school for the first time. When we were homeschooled, it was through a charter school, so I've done every single kind of schooling you could think of. Private school, charter school, homeschool, and public school. But anywho, let me just explain. And also I can tell the story of how I met my boyfriend. It's kind of short because I'm going to shorten it because, like, it would be too long to explain. So